Hey guys, welcome back to Marissa Explains It All. Today I am filming in my kitchen, which is where the magic happens. So those of you who already know me probably know why I'm wearing a bakery coat today, but for those who don't know me, I actually owned a bakery for years, a few years, and it was just a home operated business, and I made custom cakes, cupcakes, and cake pops, pies, tarts, torts, you name it. You name it! I don't do the bakery anymore. I actually got so busy to the point where I would just be so tired every night coming home from my day job and having to still work like basically another second job that I went ahead and turned it over to my sister to run. So she's doing a fabulous job running the bakery at this point. But I still bake for friends and family, and in fact I'm baking something today. So I thought I might show you guys what I'm going to do and see if you wanted to come along the ride with me. I am making a fault line cake. So if you've seen those trending on Instagram or Pinterest, they're pretty cool looking, and I'm going to attempt to do one today on camera. So we shall see how that goes. So if you're interested, then stay tuned and I'll be right back. So, unfortunately, the reason that I need to make this cake is because my bestie is leaving me at work. I work with my boo, and she has decided to go to another department in our company. And so I have to say goodbye, even though I know she's just gonna be next door. Fills me with great sadness, but I'm gonna make a cake. At first I wanted the cake to say like, we hope you fail, you're dead to me now, but I figured that was a little too much, and so I'm just gonna do a cake that is an all blue cake, and it's going to say, we'll be blue without you, or something like that, something to that effect. So I'll need to kind of figure out what I'm gonna say before I make the topper, but I do want to do a blue fault line cake because I know they're pretty popular and they're so cool. I mean, I don't know if you've seen them, but they're just so cool looking. So let's dive in. Okay, so the first thing that I do after washing my hands and the countertops is to actually make my cake board. And so whenever I do my cakes, I want it to sit on something pretty, and a nice thick cake drum, it works the best for this. It supports the cake and it just looks nicer than having it on one single cake board. And so these are just cardboard cake rounds that you can buy at Amazon or at Michael's, Joann, and Walmart as well. They all sell them. And this is just like I think a 10-inch cake board to support a 8.5 to 9-inch cake, depending on how they bake out. So I take a few, usually I take 2 or 3, and I'll take whatever ribbon I have on hand, and today I'm just using a white ribbon. And I think this one is a 3/8 of an inch ribbon. And I'll just kind of make sure that the ribbon that I've chosen is going to cover, oops, slippery, is going to cover the bare spots. And 3 cake rounds or cake circles seems to be perfect to cover the 3/8 ribbon. I think before, when I've used a 1/4 inch ribbon, I can get away with 2 and just cover that, but I'm going to use the 3/8 and 3 today. And so I've heated up my glue gun here, and so I'm going to go ahead and start the process of gluing. And so usually what I'll do is I will line them up by just using the counter as my surface, and I'll just kind of peel apart one and stick a little hot glue in there, maybe halfway around, and then I will close it together and press it against the counter to keep them nice and flat. And I'll rotate it and peel apart a little bit more on the bottom here. Oh, grab the other side here. It's kind of hard to do with the camera in a way. TBH. All right, so I'll do that, and then I'll do the other one. So that one, the first one is now done, and I'll just do the other side here. So just kind of do some messy glue work just around the perimeter. I don't usually do the middles. It holds together just fine. And then it seems to be actually pretty tight. There's not a lot of room here to do the rest of it. So as long as it's pretty tight and it's holding pretty well, you can consider yourself done. All right, so then I'm gonna take my ribbon, of course, and I'm just going to start gluing it around the perimeter to hide this kind of ugly corrugated cardboard. Okay, so my friend's favorite flavor is chocolate, so I went ahead and baked up 2 layers of a 9-inch round and 2 layers of the 6-inch round cake. And so I've just kind of leveled those off and put them in the freezer until they're nice and firm, so that they can be easily worked with. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of start moving these out of the way a little bit and bring forward my handy dandy turntable. And so this is really invaluable for decorating cakes. It just turns and allows you to sort of decorate, and you can get this at Walmart and Michael's and Joann and Amazon. So I'm going to start with just placing the first layer of cake on with a little bit of buttercream, and I usually use a Wilton buttercream, but I did mix up some buttercream today from scratch, and this is like a fake Swiss meringue buttercream. I kind of followed a recipe that I haven't tried before, but it looks pretty good. It's a little soft, but I'm going to see how it goes. I like the Wilton decorator icing, but wanted to go with something a little different. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take some of my icing and place it in the middle, and we're gonna place the 6-inch round in between the two 8-inch round layers, because that's how the fault line cakes go. So I'm gonna take one of my 6-inch layers here, and I'm just gonna place that right in the middle. And it looks kind of strange, but I'm just going to make sure it's a little bit, centered, pressed down pretty firmly. And then I'm not using a filling this time, so I am just going to go ahead and ice the middle with this fake Swiss meringue buttercream. It's not a full Swiss meringue buttercream just because of the ingredients and the way it's made, but I will link the recipe in the description below if you would like to make this as well. All right, so after I do like a nice little generous layer and smooth that out, I will go ahead and place my second layer on top. And I made these a little bit thinner. I want there to be, some kind of height to it. And so there's a little bit of height, not too much, just so that I can get some of the blueberries that I'm going to place in there. And then I'll pick back up my buttercream. And then it's really difficult to actually ice this middle portion when you have the top on. So I am going to just start crumb coating the outer layers at this point, and then I'll go ahead and stick the top on. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and put on the top layer now that we are all ready for that, and kind of press it down a little bit. And then I'm gonna grab one of my favorite little tools that should help the cause. This is just like a little bench scraper, food chopper. You can actually get these at the Dollar Tree, but it's really nice for just making sure that you have like a nice straight edge, and you can make sure everything is lined up. So I'm just gonna get down here at eye level and just kind of make sure that this cake is lining up pretty well. And if it's not, I have the opportunity to sort of shift it and make sure that it is level. And so I'll just kind of show you what I mean. Down here at eye level with a lovely view of my electrical socket. So see how like when I put this straight up and down, this is actually a little bit crooked, or a little bit too far out. So I'm just gonna shove it in a little bit, and then that looks like it is pretty good. So I'm just gonna kind of go around and check and make sure that it's level, and if pieces fall off, that's okay. And that looks pretty good to me. I think as good as it's gonna get. So now I'm gonna go ahead and ice this top layer. All right, now that we have got a rough start, just like a rough sketch of what it's gonna look like, I think we'll go ahead and pop this in the freezer and let it firm up, and then I will come back and dye the icing. So while that's chilling, I'm gonna go ahead and tint the rest of my buttercream because I want it to be blue to fit our blue theme. And so I just have here a Wilton cornflower blue coloring. It's been well loved, as you can see. It's everywhere. I'm just gonna take that, and with a little toothpick, it's a gel food coloring. I'm gonna try to go ahead and tint all of my buttercream. So I'm just gonna kind of dip that in there, and then I'll usually go ahead and just wipe it off on a little paper towel so I don't contaminate the rest of the coloring, and then just keep doing that until I feel like I've got enough. So I'll try 3 toothpicks full and see what that does for me when I start mixing it up. Okay, so this chilled up pretty nicely. As you can see, I'm touching it and it's not budging, so that looks pretty darn good. Even this little bit's kind of hard to scrape off. So it's pretty firm. And I'm just gonna go ahead and do a layer of the blue to get like a base layer of blue, and then I'll come back and we'll put the berries on. So while that is in the freezer, I actually will go ahead and soak my blueberries and make sure that they're washed in a solution of water, and then I actually do put a ½ cup of vinegar in there just to make sure that any mold gets killed off and that nothing really can live in there. A lot of times people will buy some blueberries or strawberries or whatever kind of berries, and they just mold so quickly, like within a couple days, and it's usually because there's little mold spores that have settled in there and bacteria and things, and this way if you soak them in a nice vinegar solution, they should hold up nice and fresh. And I've gone ahead and given these little blueberries a nice little bath and towel dry so that they're not too wet when I place them on the cake. So now our lovely cake has come out of the freezer, and it's time to start the next step, which is to actually put the berries on. And so I'm actually going to apply these to the middle, and the icing right now is a little bit, soft still, but not firm or not soft enough for me to actually stick the berries in. So I do need to add on just a little bit of a layer in the middle, and I'm not really too worried about getting this smooth because the berries are going to block it. I just kind of want to get some icing on there and make it kind of act like glue and stick them on there. And I'm going to work as I go because I think that the chilled freezer may actually make the icing kind of chilled as I work, and so I don't want it to firm up too quickly. And so I'm just going to kind of place the berries around here, shove them all up in there, and hopefully they will stick. I think I've reached that point where I stopped icing. And I'll work in segments here, so I'll just go ahead and ice and place. I'm working a little bit more carefully now. I'm just not really slapping it on there. I'm trying to go a little bit more slowly, and it's okay if some of this hangs down at the bottom to create like a nice rough edge, because it's supposed to kind of fall down anyway and kind of make like a jagged little gap there. But I am trying to put this on fairly thickly, just kind of going very slowly to get it smooth around the edges, but the bottom edge being a little more jagged. So we'll smooth the edges out here with a hot knife method in just a minute. Okay, so I've gone ahead and put that back in the freezer just to chill for a couple minutes and let it set up one more time. But in the meantime, I need to go ahead and start working on making my gold that I'm going to paint on the upper and lower edges. And so I'm going to go ahead and make this. This is just called luster dust. It's an edible luster dust, and I'm using a brand called Rolcom in the color Super Gold. It's something that's actually sold in Australia, but I buy it on Etsy and it's shipped into the US. And it's really pretty. It's like a nice little gold color, and I think it's perfect for what I usually use it for. And so I'm just taking a little clean container and scooping out some of this gold luster dust into it, and then you mix it with lemon extract or vodka, but I just have to have lemon extract on hand. And so I'll just pour a little bit in here. You don't need a whole lot of the liquid, just kind of start with a little bit, a few, maybe quarter teaspoon or less, and just kind of pour a few drops in there, and then kind of give it a little shake and see if it needs more. And then I'll use my little brush here to mix around. And as you can see, this is looking pretty good, but it's a little bit thick. It's kind of too pasty, I think. I like it to be a little thinner, so I'm just going to add a little bit more of my cap. And I do it this way through the cap because I have poured it straight from the bottle before and it's gone rushing out. It was not good. So this allows me to control it by just adding a few drops here or there, not too much. So now this looks to me like a better consistency. It is just a little bit more spreadable. I don't know how to even tell that over the camera, but it's just more liquid. So I will keep this at hand, and then as soon as it comes out of the freezer, it'll be ready to paint the gold. It's time to get this buttercream looking really smooth, and I do that with the hot knife method. And so I will get my palette knife, just my offset spatula here, and I've had the water running, and I'm sure you can hear it in the background here. I get it all the way on hot, and then I will just run my knife under it and just kind of wipe it off so that it is nice and dry. And then I start running it over the hot knife or hot spatula or whatever you want to call it over the cake, and it helps kind of smooth out some of the lumps and bumps. And then once it gets cool, I will run it back under the water, give it a little wipe, use the back or the front or whatever you think is best, whichever side you like, and start just kind of running it over, and it helps smooth it out. So you're not going to get any buttercream cake 100% smooth, but this looks good enough for a rustic cake. So now I'm going to go ahead and take a wet paper towel and carefully wipe off the buttercream from the cake board edges. I didn't smooth out the top because I am going to place blueberries on the top, so I think I will go ahead and do that now. And I've just got my plate of fresh dried blueberries here that I went ahead and toweled off, and I'll just go ahead and place those at the top here. And I probably will put in some fresh greenery of some kind, or maybe just some silk greenery, just to kind of break it up a little bit. It is a lot of blue. Okay, so now it's time to go ahead and take our luster dust and start painting the top edges. So I'm just gonna kind of run it over the top here and give it a nice little effect. I started doing this on the other side, and then my camera cut out. So part of the other side is done, but that's okay. That's okay. And it's okay if we brush some blueberries too. We can always just kind of face them away, and that'll be kind of like a pretty little touch. I do intend to kind of brush a few blueberries with some of the gold luster dust. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some berries just down at the bottom here, and then we'll place those around the edge. So now I've actually made a little sign as well to go with the cake, and so it just says, "We'll be blue without you." And so keeping in theme with our blue cake here, I'm gonna go ahead and stick this on the top. And I'm just kind of trying to find the best spot here for where we think could be the front. I like this as a front, so I'm gonna go ahead and pan up, and then we'll put the top in here. We'll be blue without you. Perfect. Okay, so this looks pretty good. I might put some natural greenery in there, but this is our final product of our fault line cake. So that is it. I took my bakery coat off because it's hot in this kitchen now that I've been baking and moving. Moving your arm like this really kind of like is a lot of work. So hopefully you guys like this, and if you happen to try a fault line cake, let me know how it goes. Hopefully you have a icing recipe that works better for you. Mine was really soft, and I think that kind of contributed to some problems today. In fact, it looks a little bit soft. I'm gonna put it in the fridge. But yeah, let me know how it goes. And if you like this video, just please hit like and definitely subscribe to my channel, and I'll bring you more baking videos and tutorials shortly. Bye guys, thank you.